Om Shanti. 29th October 2019, Tuesday. The essence from today's Sakar Murli. Sweet children, while walking and moving around, let this knowledge trickle in your intellects, and you will have an abundance of happiness. Sweet children, while walking and moving around, let this knowledge trickle in your intellects, and you will have an abundance of happiness. Baba is saying that this knowledge should trickle in your intellect throughout. It's not only during Amrit Vela or when you are not doing yoga, but throughout the day, but whilst you are walking and whilst you are moving. So all the time, let this knowledge keep on trickling into your intellect. And when Baba says trickling, what does it mean? Trickling of knowledge means you are thinking about that knowledge all the time. Taking some point from the Murli and thinking about it. Trickling of the knowledge in the intellect means one is churning that knowledge. Thinking seems to be a superficial process, while churning is a deep process. Thinking can be compared to swimming, and churning can be compared to drowning. So thinking means to swim on the surface. Churning means to go within, to go deep. Churning also means to ruminate. Just as the cow ruminates, chewing the cud. So churning of knowledge means deeper thinking of the knowledge. So taking any point and thinking about it throughout the day. Then trickling of knowledge means you are meditating on that knowledge. You meditate on that knowledge. You can say deep reflection. So to meditate on a particular point of knowledge is to let that knowledge dribble down the intellect's lane. So this knowledge should be trickling all the time. Trickling means to dribble. Trickling means to percolate. Trickling means to ooze out. Trickling means to go out. Trickling means to run out. Trickling, just as water trickles in the similar manner. The knowledge should trickle. So keep on thinking about this knowledge. Keep on churning this knowledge. Keep on meditating upon this knowledge throughout the day. Then visualization. Visualize this knowledge. The words should turn into pictures. The words should not just remain merely words, but they should transform into pictures, because subconscious mind understands the language of pictures, not words. For example, there is a couple who are in Gyan, male, female. We have often heard in Murli that Baba says, take the oath of purity. For example, if you take the male, he should visualize his wife as if he is seeing her in 5 forms. For example, she is the point of light when she is in the Supreme Abode. She is the Lakshmi when in the Golden Age. She is the worship-worthy deity, the 8-armed Durga from the Copper Age. And at present, she is my sister when we are children of Brahma, or she is the brother soul, or in the 5th form, she is the angel. So this vision of sensual attachment will go away. One is to visualize, to practice these 5 forms for oneself. Here I am telling to practice it for the person who is the partner, who is the companion, or the other way around. The female in question should see her husband as a point of light, as a Narayan who is 100% viceless, completely pure, 16 celestial degree full, Satopradhan, soul conscious. Then he is the worship-worthy deity, Hanuman or Ganesha or whatever. And now he is the brother soul, or he is the brother. And then he is going to become an angel. So this knowledge, one should visualize it, convert words into drill, convert lines into pictures. So this spiritual imagination, this creative imagery would help this knowledge to get established in the subconscious mind. At present, it's somewhere in the conscious mind. And staying in the conscious mind, probably, even though we know it, but still we don't do it. We don't follow it. Because it has not become the part and parcel of our inner mind. So, trickling of knowledge means to visualize it. Trickling of knowledge means you are planning to use that knowledge now into practice. So plan for translating the knowledge into practice. So that plan, for example, there's one point of knowledge, and I am now thinking how to put that point into practice. So I am deciding the time, deciding the place, deciding the persons with whom I am going to use that knowledge. So planning. And then actual implementation. That's also the part of trickling. But though trickling is a mental process, we will not go out to speech. But implementation means there could be silent implementation as well. And another thing is relating this knowledge to others. One is through speech, another is through the power of mind. We aren't speaking anything, and yet we are giving this knowledge. That is Sakash. So trickling of knowledge means there's a point of knowledge, you have converted that into drill, and now you are spreading it out through your mental vibes, through your spiritual vibes. So Baba is saying, sweet children, while talking, while moving and talking around and moving, whatever you are doing, sitting, standing, walking, moving, walking, touring around, whatever, waiting for somebody, listening to somebody, whatever one is doing, what Baba is saying, let this knowledge, this Gyan should trickle in your intellect all the time. And then only you will have abundance of happiness. So one of the benefits of churning of knowledge is happiness. If happiness has disappeared from the Brahmin life, the reason somewhere is Gyan churning has reduced. Every Murli provides us with so many points of knowledge to churn, to think, to visualize, to discuss, to brainstorm, to write. Churning also means writing, but writing in the mind. Writing in the mind's diary. Create a speech in the mind only. One is to write down speech and then to read it and to revise it and then to go out and speak it. That is one way. Another is to prepare the speech in the mind without writing anything, without touching pen and paper. Take one point of knowledge. For example, in yesterday's Murli there was one statement. Baba said, take the oath of purity. Now suppose this is the topic, oath of purity. Now start churning about it. Why this oath is necessary. When to take this oath. How to take this oath. How to follow this oath. What are the benefits emerging from this oath? What are the difficulties in this oath? So, whenever you see any point of knowledge, reflect upon it, think about it, expand it. So, trickling of knowledge also means revising the knowledge. Revising the knowledge internally. Try to revise what you read yesterday. Try to revise what you read in Murli, what you heard in classes. Because simply listening and listening and listening will not do. That is somebody else's philosophy. You have to create your own philosophy. You cannot survive on borrowed philosophy for a long time. You have to create your own churning, own philosophy. So revising this knowledge, trickling of knowledge means revise this knowledge. Trickling of knowledge means recall this knowledge. We do this work very less. We are interested more in reading new things, in listening Murli, in reading Murli. That's it. But how many of us are really interested in recalling what I read yesterday? Because this is a difficult task. Mind resists. Mind says, just forget it. Now the new Murli is there. Let me read it. Let me listen it. Doesn't. Or somebody has done a class on it. Let me listen to that class. So, recall is missing. Try to revise, try to recall. And I feel the best time to recall Murli is before 7 a.m. Try to recall yesterday's Murli. Before you are ready to listen to today's Murli, you should revise yesterday's Murli once. This is one of the best methods. Because there should be some gaps in revision. Morning you read, evening you read, it's fine. But let some period go away. Like sleep. Let that period go. And then that recall would be very powerful. And that would become permanently indented in the intellect. Otherwise, it fades away. Baba says knowledge is like mercury. It evaporates. So, once you read something, for example, you read or listen Murli at 7 a.m. today. By 7 p.m., try to revise it once. Once try to reread it. and then give it up. And next day 7 a.m. Before 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. Here, maybe from 3 o'clock till 7 o'clock, you have this much time. Amrit Vela as well as post Amrit Vela. At least post Amrit Vela or before 7 o'clock, any time. Try to recall or try to read, reread, recall, revise, re-emerge, re-visualize and memorize some of the points, important points. Just as a child memorizes things. If you ask a child a poetry, he will just rattle off. He revises it in 2 ticks. So he is so fluent in revising. Why? Because he knows it by heart. And what is the way to know by heart? Multiple readings. How does a child remember a poetry? Twinkle, twinkle, little star. What he does? He reads one, then he reads again, then his mother reads out to him, then he listens it, then he hears the song, then multiple times he prepares for exam. So many revisions, and then it is committed to his memory. In the similar manner here also, try to revise, try to recall, try to listen, try to say it out multiple times throughout the day. And then it gets committed to the memory. So once it is committed to the memory, then you try to recall it, memorize it. Memorization and then recall. So memory has this process. Read, visualize some ridiculous thinking, law of association. Try to say about it, think about it. For example, if you meet a stranger and he tells you that his name is such and such, how do you remember his name? What is the way to memorize somebody's name? Somebody says, my name is John. So how do you remember his name? Call him by that name multiple times. Call him by that name multiple times, or associate his name with some of his speciality. Create some picture, some visualization and associate so that you can remember. Otherwise many times it happens that we remember the face but we don't remember his name. Because we had not associated his face with his name. So whenever you see any face, try to associate that face with the name of the person and then you remember it. Here also, when you listen to some point of knowledge, that should be associated with something. Associate old, new with the old, unknown with the known. So law of association, law of ridiculous thinking, law of repetition, law of recall, law of memorization, law of revision, law of memorization, law of talking about it, law of speaking about it. So all this process should go on. So that's what Baba is saying. This knowledge should keep on trickling, dribbling, oozing out in your intellect throughout. Sweet children, while walking and moving around, let this knowledge trickle into your intellect and you will have an abundance of happiness. So this knowledge is happiness giving knowledge. This knowledge fills the soul with supernatural, supernal happiness. Because there is so much sorrow in the world. Everywhere there is sorrow. This is the world filled with sorrow. Every soul is in pain. Every soul is sorrowful. Every soul is diseased, angst-ridden. Every soul is suffering from psychological disorders, multiple disorders. So in this world of sorrow, in this world of unhappiness, to think of knowledge and to spread those vibes of knowledge will fill us with happiness. So So that's why Baba says, keep on churning this knowledge, thinking about this knowledge, ruminating this knowledge, contemplating on this knowledge, reflecting on this knowledge, meditating on this knowledge, visualizing this knowledge, revising this knowledge, recalling this knowledge, memorizing this knowledge. Pinching. So, if you forget, pinch yourself. So, tripling of the knowledge in the intellect. Om Shanti.